recorded in heaven. They are remembered there. Now what that represented when the priests went in through that veil into the holy place was that Jesus, when he was done with his work for us here on this earth and died, he received a new body and he ascended to heaven to begin a work there of sending his Spirit down to work in our hearts. Now the first area the high priest would work in was that golden altar of incense. If you look closely at it, it had a crown around the top of it. That crown represented a victory. Victory for the life of the individual who remains faithful in confessing his sins and keeping his eyes upon the sacrifice. On the four corners of it, it had horns. Now, this little altar was turned diagonally so that the four horns pointed to the four cardinal points of the compass. It represented all power and all victory through the mediation of Jesus in the heavenly sanctuary. A new life that has total power to overcome sins and to maintain purity without falling. Now, if you notice, the priest is pouring onto that altar incense. That incense represented the life of Christ. It was mingled with the fire, which represents the acceptance of Christ's life in our behalf, and the smoke that ascended up represented our prayers ascending to heaven, Christ mingling his righteousness with them and making each one of our prayers acceptable with the Father. And we know that he hears every prayer, every petition we send to heaven. The God that rules the universe hears it, and he'll answer every prayer that we send up in faith. The next item in that sanctuary, representing a work that Christ is doing in our hearts from heaven, is the Golden Candlestick. It was called a Menorah, and it had 7 branches. It was made from one piece of beaten gold, one great piece of gold that was heated and beaten and heated and beaten and heated and beaten until it formed one magnificent candlestick, a magnificent work of art. God had to give a man special ability in order to do that. But it represented the life of Christ, beaten and heated, the suffering of Christ in order to become our righteousness, in order to become our Christ. And at the top of it, the top of each one of those candles that came out of the main branch, there was a little hole, and there was a little groove in the bottom of 7 lamps, and that little groove fit down, or that little knot fit down inside that hole, indicating that our lives, or those little lamps, are grafted right into Jesus Christ, and that they bear fruit because we're in Christ. You see, the candlesticks were carved to look like a blossom and then an almond, a blossom and an almond, all the way up to the top